very soon. Let's get into this Kansas-Colorado game.
Iowa State.
Excuse me, Kansas-Iowa State game. Yes,
you're getting ahead of yourself now.
I love talking Colorado.
Now you're getting 2 weeks ahead of yourself. Easy now.
Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Kansas Jayhawks. Highest grade player for them was tight end Trevor Cardale, 92.5 grade for the tight end in this one. Mello Dotson, the corner, 85.1. Quentin Skinner, the wide receiver, 83.1. Devin Neal, the running back, at 79.1. Dylan Woodkey at a 74.9. And then Jalen Daniels, how about him? We'll talk about him in a little bit too, but 92.2 grade for the quarterback in this game. Iowa State were their 5 highest grade players. Jalen Noel was their highest grade player at a 82.2. His fellow wide receiver, Jaden Higgins, at a 75.3. Steve-O Klotz with a 74.4 grade. Jared Holford, 74.3 grade. Jalen Travis, 69.5 grade. And Rocco Becht rounding it out with a 76.2 grade. Steve-O Klotz is a hell of a name for a tight end. I love that.
That's awesome.
That's elite.
That guy could only play tight end.
That's a tight end name right there.
Darn right
that's outstanding. He should get a 99 grade for that name alone. But for you, what was the typical story in this Kansas upset?
All right, we're going back to the two things here, okay? We're going with it. Quarterback play and run defense, right? In the Big 12, that's the things we've been talking about. Now, Rocco Becht is pretty good. Actually had a pretty good game outside of one throw I'll get into in a minute. Iowa State is not going to win this conference because their run defense is just not there. We've talked about all year that Iowa State's flaws were in the trenches. They had a 50 run D grade in this game. That's their lowest of the season. Kansas had 237 yards on the ground, and I know Jalen Daniels made some really nice throws. We'll talk about that too. He must have drank his coffee before this game because he came out firing. But no, this run defense, between the injuries at linebacker, the way their defense is structured, they don't have any big monsters on their defensive line. This was always going to be the problem for Iowa State, right? We saw it against UCF when they got run all over and they won anyway. We saw it last week against I'm drawing a blank. Who beat them last week? Texas Tech. Texas Tech with Taj Brooks. This game, Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels, they have for this season, for the whole season, they have the second worst run defense grade in the Power 5, about only ahead of I think it's Oklahoma State. I want to say. It's just not. They missed 13.
It is Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they missed 13 tackles in run defense. I mean, this was the thing. If you're gonna get through the Big 12, you have to defend the run. Almost every single team, aside from probably Colorado and maybe Arizona, just about every single team in the Big 12 can run the ball.
Yeah,
you can't go week in and week out with a bottom 10, bottom 5 run defense. You just can't do it. And this defense, look, they're great in coverage. And this is a team built to pass and stop the pass. But this can happen. And their last 3 games, I believe they're playing Cincinnati, Utah, and Kansas State. This is going to continue to be an issue. And especially, you talk about that last game against K-State, could still be a huge game, but how in the world did they stop K-State on the ground if they couldn't stop Kansas and they couldn't stop Texas Tech and UCF and all these other teams? When you're in the Big 12, you can't defend the run,
yeah,
you don't have a whole lot of a shot. And that's where Iowa State's at right now. Even though Rocco Becht, outside of one throw, was pretty good in this game. Mm-hmm. Jaden Higgins is great. My guy Jalen Noel is great, right? They got guys in the secondary, Darian Porter and Miles Purchase and guys. If you're not good in the trenches and you can't stop the run in this conference, you don't stand a chance. There's too many teams that can run the ball.
You don't stand a chance either if Kansas is averaging 11.4 yards per play in the first half. Dalton, they went to halftime with a 31-13 lead. It was over. That was it. Iowa State could not come back from an 18-point deficit going into the second half. Kansas averaged .630 EPA per play in the first half. 6.6 yards per carry for the Jayhawks in the first half. Dalton, ready for this? Kansas in the first half averaged 16.7 yards per pass. 16.7 yards per pass.
Jalen came out firing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I tell you, he must have been.
Do you know what his average at the target was in this game?
Oh, it was something
20 yards.
I 20. I didn't see the number, but just watching some of the throws,
he was letting it rip.
Oh yeah.
He came out to prove something in this game. He had a 94.2 passing grade in the first half. Dalton, he had 4 big time throws in the first half alone in this game. Whatever they wanted against the Cyclones on the ground. And when you do that, you make their linebackers and defensive backs creep up because they don't have the run defenders like you just mentioned. And when you do that, then all of a sudden you take shots over the top, which Jalen Daniels did beautifully in this game against Iowa State. So just 11.4 yards per play in the first half, 31 points in the first half, almost 17 yards per pass in the first half, with almost 7 yards per carry. Literally whatever Kansas wanted, they were doing. It looked like Andy Koldenik was drawing up plays for Kansas in this game, honestly. They were just doing whatever they wanted offensively against the Cyclones. And like I said, that first half, the game was over at halftime, honestly.
Kansas came out feeling like they could attack this team. Yeah. And they did. And on the ground and through the air. I mean, this is what Kansas was supposed to be the entire year, and they've lost a lot of close games. Run the ball, take deep shots with Jalen Daniels. That's what they do. So, no, absolutely. Again, underdog gets in their wheelhouse, gets in it early in the game, they can pull an upset like this for sure.
Definitely. So, Dalton, what was the most impressive part of this Jayhawk victory?
I'm going to take a really underrated player on Kansas defense. Let's go out to corner. They got a pair of good corners, and the guy that was really good in this game was Mello Dotson.
Yeah.
Look, an 89.4 coverage grade in this game. He was the one guy. Look, Rocco Beck got a good amount of yards and made a lot of really nice throws in this game, but not at Mello Dotson. He targeted him 3 times, no catches, had a pass breakup, and a pick 6 in the middle of the fourth quarter. It's great play, too. I mean, just reaching up to get the ball and then returning it. Pick 6 that really put the game away. Iowa State had the ball down 10, and this was the play that was it. The game was over. It was 17. Now they were up 17 with 6 minutes to go. Mello Dotson, really good player. 86.7 coverage grade for the year. It's the 11th best of any corner in the country. No, he's doing special things over there, and I know Kansas, look, they haven't won a ton of games this year. They played in a lot of close games, but they're dangerous, and they're playing some contenders down the stretch here. What is it? They have one of the big. They have BYU next week. They have BYU and then Colorado back to back. I'll tell you what.
We're previewing those games.
This conference might come down to who's beating Kansas. K-State pulled away with it. Iowa State didn't. And Kansas all of a sudden became an X factor in this conference just as the ultimate spoiler. And they're really dangerous when they play the way they've played the last couple weeks.
Don, this is only their 3rd win of the season. They are incredibly dangerous still. I know they're 3-6, and people might look at that and say, "Oh, they're not a very good team." No, they are a good team.
They are the ultimate. Don't look at the record team. Yeah. They've lost a lot of games by a field goal. Yeah.
Let's just let me look at their schedule right now.
The UNLV game, the K-State game.
They lost to Illinois by 6.
Yep.
UNLV by 3. West Virginia by 4. TCU, they lost by 11. Lost by 4 to Arizona State. They lost by 2 to Kansas State. And then, like I said, those. Every game is close.
Their season on a handful of plays could look a lot different. Kansas is the best 3-6 team in the country. I'll promise you that.
They're
dangerous.
Their one game their one loss that was not a single possession loss was when they lost by 11 to TCU.
Yeah.
That's it. Every other game was at least 6 points or fewer they lost by. So they are a dangerous team.
Way better than their record.
That BYU and Colorado cannot overlook, especially now that BYU and Colorado control their own destiny in the Big 12. That's insane, honestly, dude. I think it's a perfect microcosm of this chaotic year of college football, that 2 schools that not a lot of people thought would even make a bowl game this year, now with 3 weeks left, both BYU and Colorado control their own destiny in the Big 12. I need that as a Big 12 title game. That would be electric.
Long way to go.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.